Today I have decided to start a series. I've been doing for a very long time an anxiety and series where I talk about having anxiety alongside doing other things in life, like anxiety and sleep, anxiety and moving out, anxiety and university, all that kind of stuff. Today I thought I'd start a new series which is all about different kinds of anxiety. I personally have a long list of anxiety things that I suffer with, but then there's also lots of things to do with anxiety that I don't suffer with. So I don't suffer with social anxiety, I don't suffer with, there's quite a few other anxieties I do suffer with. But yeah, I've got quite a lot of experience within lots of different kinds of anxiety. And other anxieties, I know a lot of people who have that kind of anxiety. So I felt like it would be a really good thing to start on this channel, because I feel like when you have your diagnosis, or when you think you know what kind of anxiety you have, it's much easier to treat and much easier to kind of go ahead in life. I think there's a big misconception that anxiety is just feeling anxious when you're around new people or in crowds and stuff like that, which is really not the case. So there's not one size fits all when it comes to giving advice and when it comes to overcoming that specific anxiety disorder that you have. Today I decided I want to talk about panic disorder, because this is something recently that has become a lot more a word that I've been using and a lot more on my mind. A month or two ago I had a really severe panic attack, which kind of ruffled my feathers a little bit. Let's just say it ruffled my feathers. And since then I've been kind of looking into panic disorder more and looking into what that means instead of just anxiety as a whole, and it's actually helped me quite a lot. So I kind of wanted to talk all about panic disorder today, all the different symptoms, all the different facts, kind of see if any of you guys fit into this. If what I'm describing sounds like it could be you, then I think it's a really good idea to go to your doctors and say, I think I have panic disorder, rather than I think I have anxiety, because I think anxiety, so many people have anxiety these days. It's hard probably for doctors as well to treat just somebody with anxiety, because it can mean a whole load of things. But if you say you have panic disorder, I think they'll take that more seriously and take you more seriously. So the NHS website describes panic disorder as recurring unexpected panic attacks. So you can be somebody that has had a panic attack before and not have panic disorder. I think panic disorder is when you have frequent panic attacks, maybe once or twice a month or once or twice a week. Something that's reoccurring and that happens more than once. If you're somebody that has had a series of panic attacks and you are constantly worried about having another one, I would say you fall into the panic disorder category. I am not a doctor, I am not a psychologist, I don't know these things, but from my personal experience and from what I've read up about, this is what I have found, that a lot of people in life will probably at one stage or another have a panic attack. And that definitely doesn't mean you have panic disorder, definitely not. But when it starts to affect your life and when you start to have more and when you start to think about it more, then it's more falling into the panic disorder category. Another way to kind of know is if it is affecting your daily life in a very negative way. So for me, I find it difficult to go certain places, I find it difficult to go a certain amount of time away from my home, I find it difficult to go into situations where I could have a panic attack and not be able to get out. I always have to have medication, like really strong medication with me just in case that happens, which is a bit of advice, really helps me, I'll go on to that later. But I think the way it affects you is if you're it's always kind of in the back of your mind and you're always a bit on edge about having another panic attack, and remembering how severe it is and all that kind of stuff. If you're somebody that is wondering, I think I might have had a panic attack but I'm not too sure, there's very different variations of panic attacks, and there's also a difference between an anxiety attack and a panic attack. A panic attack feels like the worst thing in the world. I have anxiety attacks quite a lot, but panic attacks I only have every now and again. For a while I was having them like once a week, which wasn't nice at all, but recently it's been less frequent than that, touch wood. Panic attack can feel very different for different people as well. I know a lot of people that don't have the same symptoms that I do. Things like feeling your throat closing up, feeling like you're going to swallow your tongue, feeling like you've got heart palpitations, racing, really horrible thoughts, feeling nauseous, feeling really sick, having a dodgy tummy, maybe having diarrhea, burning, feeling like you are totally so hot and sweating and like ridiculously about to start being on fire, feeling faint, feeling like you're gonna faint, and feeling like you're gonna die. A lot of people have said that they feel like they're literally going to die or something really horrible is going to happen to them when they have a panic attack. For me, I felt like that before, definitely. I felt like I am definitely going to be sick, I'm going to be really ill, all those kind of thoughts come through your head. But one thing I will point out is I have never been sick from a panic attack. I have never died from a panic attack. I have never stopped breathing. Nothing bad has ever happened in the long term to do with my health when I've been having a panic attack. And that's something to always remember when you're actually having a panic attack is, have I ever heard of somebody having a panic attack and actually dying or actually getting really sick? No. It can have very difficult emotional effects on you and mental effects on you when you have a panic attack. It can really lower your confidence, it can make you feel really, really shit. But physically, it can't harm you. There's nothing bad that can happen to you physically. Although it feels very physical and it feels very like claustrophobic and horrific, you feel trapped in your own body. I've often described it as kind of what people with epilepsy must feel, because it does feel like you're completely not in control of your own body. It feels like there's no kind of rhyme or reason. It feels like the only way you can overcome that is with really strong, like crazy medication. And it feels like you don't really know when it's going to strike and you just need to kind of be prepared at all times. That's more or less what I think panic disorder is, what I've researched and what I've personally experienced. The best ways for me that I've found to get over it is with self-care. This word's kind of thrown about quite a lot these days, but self-care is whatever it needs to be to you. That's how I feel about self-care. I think I might make a new video about self-care soon, because it's changed. What self-care is has changed me a lot over the years, and I feel like I'm now at a place where I really know the meaning of it. Whatever you need to do when you are in a state of panic, when you are having a panic hangover, which I have also felt. A panic hangover to me is the next day or the next week or the next few days after a panic attack, you feel exhausted, you feel like you've been punched a million times, you feel like you can't move, you also feel terrified for having another one because it was so horrific. Your body, I've had friends say to me that the amount of adrenaline that you use when you're having a panic attack is the same as running a marathon. I don't know if that's true or not. My friend said that to me, which is when I was really tired one day. But yeah, you use so much adrenaline because that's what a panic attack is your body just like, oh my god, we're in danger, what do I do? Adrenaline, run, fight or flight mode. I'm sure you've heard that a million times if you're someone that has anxiety. Self-care, ramp it up. If you need to take time off work, if you need to get help with your children, if you need to get help with looking after your home, if you need to lie on the sofa all day, if you need to go back to work to make sure that you are in a more comfortable routine, if you need to draw all day, if you need to paint all day, if you need to lie in the bath all day, whatever it is to you that you need to do. Don't feel like, oh, I shouldn't go back to work because I've had this, or don't feel like I should go back to work. Listen to what you need, listen to what your body needs and go with that. There's going to be people probably that tell you you should go back to work because you don't want to get into this rut. There'll be people that say to you, you shouldn't go back to work because you're not well. Whatever it is, listen to yourself because you only know. Don't listen to the other people that are telling you what to do. Of course, there's things like therapy, which have massively helped people. It's obviously a more long-term thing because you can't just go to therapy for a month, 2 months and think, I'm definitely cured for life. I think that therapy is one of those things you really need to stick at for as long as you can. That's why I don't really like the NHS therapies. Yeah, it's usually like a 6 or 12 week period, and if you aren't better by then it's kind of like, well, sorry, just go and live your life, and I just found that really difficult. But yeah, therapy is definitely something that could definitely help. Medication, there's a lot of taboo around medication. I personally love medication. I take medication daily. I take 2 different kinds of medication. I also have a different one for if I'm in a really serious, horrific situation. When you're actually in a situation where you're having a panic attack, the number one thing to remember is that it can't harm you. There's absolutely no way a panic attack can actually harm you physically. It can knock your confidence, it can make you feel rubbish, but there's nothing that can happen physically that will make you ill. Remember that it will pass. Even if it lasts a really long time, even if it lasts up to an hour, it will pass. There will be a point where you feel better and you need to rest when you do feel better, but it will stop, it will pass at some point. And the third thing is you really, really, really need to try not to fight the symptoms. When you're in a panic attack and you're starting to feel hot and you're starting to feel sick and you're starting to freak out and you feel like your throat's closing up, you need to just try your best to let those symptoms happen, let it wash over you. The symptoms are happening, just be with them, just try and not be like, oh my god, the symptoms are coming, oh my god, because that makes the panic attack worse, it makes it more difficult. So that's kind of my 3 tips on if you're actually having a panic attack and what's helped me. But yeah, this has just been a big old chat about panic disorder and panic attacks and my experiences and stuff like that. As I said, I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist, so this isn't me trying to cure anybody because I can't do that, but this is just my research and experience into panic disorders. So I hope that it helped somebody. I hope that somebody could find some form of, even if you feel like, oh, at least I'm not the only one that feels like that, then that would be great. And thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!